Hello and welcome to the Dr. Maria Show. Can you believe it? It's June 30th, 2025. Where do the months go? All eyes today were glued on television sets. Our reporters were at the White House, at the Capitol, wondering if the Senate is going to vote today. It's the big, beautiful bill, right? There has been some controversy, even amongst Republicans, because there's a faction of the Republicans who are very, very concerned about increased spending. Not every bill is perfect, but there are some very, very good things about this bill, including making the tax cuts to the middle class permanent. I like that. Well, our own Allison Steinberg, Lindell TV's White House correspondent, got a great opportunity to talk to Senator Kramer. He is from North Dakota in a fascinating interview. Just listen.
Hello everyone, my name is Allison Steinberg with Lindell TV. We are here at our beautiful Capitol in Washington, D.C., and I am here with Senator Kevin Kramer. Senator, thanks so much for meeting with us today.
My honor, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, it is a very busy day here in the swamp. Lots of voting going on regarding the big, beautiful bill. As we know, this passed the House back in May by a very narrow vote, and now it is in the Senate currently. Give us an update. Tell us what is going on in the Senate right now with the big, beautiful bill.
Sure. So where we are right now is we're in what's called a vote-a-rama. Vote-a-ramas generally take several hours. We usually do them throughout the night. There's a little bit of strategy involved in wearing people down. In this case, we started at 9 o'clock this morning. We're really just voting on several amendments, most of them offered by Democrats in an attempt to poison the bill or turn the bill into something it's not intended to be. So, it's sausage making 101. I think by now, as we record this around the noon hour, I don't know, we're probably on our 10th amendment, perhaps. Okay. Generally speaking, history will tell you that we'll do 30 to 40 amendment votes. Wow. That will take us probably past the dinner hour. and then at the end, we'll have one big, beautiful vote on one big, beautiful bill. And hopefully we get 50 votes or more, most likely 50, in which case it would be a tie. And J.D. Vance, the Vice President, will come and break that tie, hopefully, to pass the bill.
Wonderful. Lots upcoming here in the near future. Now, tell me, after Senate passage, can you explain for us what happens, how the Senate bill gets reconciled, and how that passes back to the House?
Speaking of sausage making. So the House did a nice job with the bill. And to your point, it was the narrowest of margins, a one-vote margin. That means that they found a sweet spot. Not as good for some people as they wish it was. Not as bad as to cause them to vote no, which means they found that perfect balance. In the Senate, I think we've improved the bill considerably. We've made it more conservative. We've made the Trump tax cuts from 2017 permanent, which the House had not done. We found more cuts and more spending relief, particularly in the Medicaid program, by requiring people to work if they're on Medicaid and are able to work. We've done some tinkering with some of the state tax issues that relate to Medicaid. There's a tax program called the provider tax, which allows states to actually tax the hospitals, if you will, and then the hospitals can raise their prices. They then, which raises the federal commitment to the program, and they actually all end up making more money on the backs of federal taxpayers. We're trying to fix that, finding more savings, and then. I think all in all, it's going to look a lot like the House bill. We make the salt. You've heard a lot about that. The House moderates, they had a $40,000 salt deduction. SALT stands for state and local taxes. So it's a deduction that's paid for by the federal taxpayers for high tax states like New York and California. Something most Republicans don't like very much. In fact, I'd like it to be zero. We did find a compromise, so we did reduce that a little bit. Allison, the real challenge will be if this passes with a 50-50 tie and a tiebreaker by the Vice President, goes over to the House that it was only able to pass it by 51, with one more, I guess it was 218 to 217 roughly, or 214 to 213. there's going to take a real concerted whip effort in the House to get every one of those yes votes back. And in fact, there were a couple of yes votes that didn't vote. That will be helpful. But Speaker Johnson and the greatest whip in the world, Donald Trump, will have to convince some of the holdouts. And I feel really good about it, Allison. I think the prospects of passage are very good. And I think the best thing we can do for the skeptics is pass the bill and see the American people live with lower taxes, more affordable government, a more responsive government. And you combine this package, which is already in and of itself, it reduces debt. And then combine that with the other good work in reduction of regulations, some of the trade deals the president's doing right now and getting done, some of the tariffs that he's been able to implement. This scores as a $4 trillion deficit reduction bill. Right. So the best thing to do is pass it and let people experience the incredible opportunities that this is going to do. For the American people.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of people who love free money. They love taking other people's money, and those are corporations. They are every kind of, really in our country right now, we're living with the consequences of a long entitlement history. Yeah. And we need to break some of that, or otherwise we're just going to do it on the backs of the future generations and bankrupt the country.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. And it's so sad because I actually just heard one of your Democrat colleagues out here moments before you came to join us, and she was filming a little video that was very, reminiscent of fear-mongering, telling everyone, this is going to be the end of the world, and you're not going to get your health care. It's, their tactics are ridiculous. So I'm glad to hear you out here telling the truth about the bill. Now, I know there was the July 4th deadline. Do you think we are still close to making that? What do you think the timeline on this is looking like?
Well, that deadline is imposed more or less on ourselves, and it's important we have deadlines, because if you don't have deadlines, you never get the job done. True. If the clock is running for one more minute, you're always going to try to get one more field goal, right? And so I think we will get there. I'm pretty sure we'll pass this bill before the end of today, Monday, which means the House can come back, within 24 hours or so and take it up. Okay. Hopefully, with the encouragement of the president and others, the House then can pass our bill, and the president can sign it into law before Independence Day.
Well, I do love everything about the bill, except there is one component of it that does concern me, and I really want to get your thoughts on this. I actually had the opportunity to speak with Speaker Johnson about it. It's the AI provision within the One Big Beautiful Bill. Originally, it was unregulated AI in all 50 states for 10 years. It's sounding like now that has been changed potentially to 5 years, but my concern is this AI provision ultimately, I know we are in an AI arms race with China. I understand that angle of it. But I'm also concerned that we may be building the future, beast system, surveillance state, digital prison that we've all been worried about for quite some time now.
No, it's a legitimate concern. I think we're kind of living in that anyway. Data is readily available. We all download apps on our phones, and we don't look at what we're doing sometimes, and we accept because it's quick and easy. We do the same thing with various software packages. So we're a little bit in that sort of beast, if you will, right now. However, I have concerns with the bill as well. And quite honestly, I don't think it's ready for prime time. I understand Senator Cruz's desire to recognize that we're better if we don't have 50 different regulatory regimes. However, we do have 50 different states. They're not all the same. True. Some states are dealing with things like that you're concerned about, dealing with things like children's access to social media, for example, the data that is left, and they want to protect against that. You have places like Tennessee that are protecting the music industry. You have places like California protecting, the television and movie industry. Those are all legitimate, and sometimes the states move faster than the federal government. In fact, almost always.
True.
And I'm with you. I think there's a more fundamental point, and that is states' rights versus an overbearing federal government. Now, I understand that AI, like a lot of things, does have an interstate commerce component to it. You don't like to have 50 different regulatory regimes. It does make it more difficult to be the world leader. However, I don't think this bill quite has it right. I think you can do some of that while at the same time you can protect states' rights while at the same time having a federal backstop. I just think to do something this dramatic, that hastily, violates states' rights. So I intend to vote against that amendment to the bill.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that. I like to hear that, and I think it's an important issue that not enough people are really, talking
You're
about.
right. No, you're right. And that's a little bit of the downside of a big, beautiful bill
Yes.
versus components. I was an advocate of taking the Trump tax cuts from 2017, making them permanent law in one bill,
Yeah.
and then move on to the other things like Medicaid and maybe SNAP and some of those programs, and then dealing with these even larger issues, and to include maybe some other mandatory spending and larger policies. But this is what we have.
Yeah.
It is the downside of a comprehensive bill, because the reality is, and rightfully so, most people's default on something they don't understand is to be against it.
True.
So if you want to have a good AI bill, I think you need to take more time to explain it, get feedback, and include more people.
That's a great point, because AI is here. It's probably here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
But we could maybe have a different approach. And historically, Republicans have largely been against big bills,
That's
right?
right, that's
So
right.
I don't know. Maybe in the future we can make them a little smaller.
Let's do that.
I
we'll
like
put
it.
you in charge. That'd be
Okay,
good. All
I'll
right.
take it.
Okay.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. It's a
My
pleasure
honor.
speaking with you.
Right.
Thank you for taking the time to come out and chat with us
Anytime
today.
at all.
and
Call
we really
anytime.
appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Senator.
Well, I wish we could all get along, right? You've often heard me say it's almost ridiculous that if you're a Democrat, you're only supposed to vote with Democrats. If you're a Republican, you're only supposed to vote with Republicans. Where are the free thinkers? Surprisingly, Senator Fetterman has been a free thinker and has recently voted with the Republicans. But Chuck Schumer, he's warning his Democrat senators, don't you dare, don't give them a win. Isn't that childish, immature? Aren't the wins for the American people to have a tax cut? We are being taxed to death. It's not just the federal government. Depending on your city, your state, you're getting city tax, state tax, federal tax, sales tax, property tax, car taxes. It never ends. Your own Social Security money is taxed. That was your money taken out and taxed at that time when it was taken out of your paycheck. So it's crazy. And I thank President Trump and the Republicans who want tax cuts for the middle class. There is a way to raise money and do things the federal government is supposed to do, correct? Our federal government, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to help in emergencies. Yes, states have their own funds to help if there was a natural disaster or fires, but there's federal dollars to help. I'm okay with that. They're also supposed to provide our national security. So I am okay with that too. And I'm sure you are too. Monies need to go to the borders, to the military. So this bill does have provisions in it to have more personnel, not only for ICE, but border security. So now, after the 4 years under the Biden administration, we don't know who is in our country. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, recently said there are over 1,000 Iranian terrorist cells in our country. I've long believed there were cells in our country, but we never saw the influx of bad actors as we did during the Biden administration. And now we're trying to find them. And on my last show, we talked about Tom Homan. He can't even live with his wife because of the death threats. What's happening to America? CNN is under a lot of criticism. They are allegedly promoting an app to warn illegal aliens when ICE is in their neighborhoods. Isn't that breaking the law? Why do we have to be so divided? I don't get it. Me talking on a TV show, I don't think is going to change things. I think it's going to take people in their respective parties to say, we don't want violence. We want to vote on bills no matter who wrote it. If I'm a Democrat and a Republican voted wrote it and it makes sense for my constituents, I'm going to vote for it, and vice versa. We've really gotten to a bad place, and we must get back more in the middle in cooperating with one another. Interestingly enough, when I do talk to Congress people or senators, they tell me that yes, the rhetoric is front and center on television shows, news shows, opinion shows, but they actually do work together. Okay, I haven't really seen it. That is good to know, but the American people need to see it. It's almost like a teaching moment, talking about how we can get along, how we can see certain issues as a united front. It used to be in my lifetime, we had a united front with Israel. It used to be in my lifetime, we had a united front about the southern and northern border. My goodness, Obama had deported more than any other president up to that point. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton talked about how we must have laws. We must know who's coming into our country. When did that all change? It's really remarkable. But despite that, we must move forward. Caroline Leavitt, who I have to say, I am so proud of her because she's a New Hampshireite, and I am from New Hampshire, filming right here from Manchester, New Hampshire. I believe she's from Nashua, which is south of me. She's the youngest press secretary, and she's very strong and very articulate. And she held yet another briefing today, and she went over quite a few things. Watch this.
Those benefits for Americans who need it, as well as cutting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, as well as getting 1.4 million illegal aliens off of the program. So all of those measures are actually going to protect it for those who need it. That's the president's position, and that's what this bill does, and that's why Republicans need to vote for it and get it.
And I think she had to say Republicans because we know Chuck Schumer is warning the other Democrat senators, and we need all Republicans to come on board. Senator Tillis was quite vocal about certain parts of the bill and critical, which is okay. It's his right to do that. But President Trump said, you know what, we're going to primary you. And just a week later, Senator Tillis said he's not going to run again. It's not going to be perfect. I would like it to be perfect. I would like absolutely no pork in it, but it's got to be moderate enough. It's got a lot of common sense in it. It's got a lot of things that will protect the everyday American citizen, the working class, as we are called. So sometimes you have to swallow those things you don't like. And I understand that is hard sometimes, especially if you're very principled. But that is reality. There used to be a time, I think it ended in Bill Clinton's administration, when a president could veto certain parts of a bill if it was really egregious. But I think that they can't now. Whatever is presented, a president can veto the whole thing, and that's it. You either accept it or not accept it. But there's going to be some revival in this bill, some revitalization of the military. We saw in awe what our military can do. And I'm going to talk about that a little later in the show. We're going to revisit what we did in Iran at their nuclear facility. But I want to talk about a disturbing story out of Idaho. 2 firefighters were ambushed. I've heard of this before in situations where the police is called to say there's threatening people and police are ambushed. I haven't really tuned into it happening with firefighters, but they were shot and killed. And the suspected gunman who lured them to the mountainside is dead, according to law enforcement. They did find a man dead with a gun near him. So they're they suspect he is the one. And it was in Canfield Mountain. Law enforcement believed that the subject intentionally set the fire on Canfield Mountain to draw fire from them. Well, now we know who it is. Here is a picture of Wes Raleigh, Roley. He is a young man. He's only I think he's 20, and he's a troubled person. I did not personally see his X account, but according to others, his X account was filled with vile comments, especially against authority, police, fire. I don't know why. Can we ever rationalize these type of things? And apparently his family even has a restraining order on him. But it was very, very chilling. One of the firefighters radioed in and said, this fire is an ambush. 2 people already shot. I'm pinned down. So law enforcement came out in droves, but it was sniper fire. So this kid was pretty good. So we'll see what happens, whether we find out any additional information. Right. What can you say? I can't even tell you why these random acts of violence occur. Am I concerned that these type of incidences will spread? I am, because of the rhetoric. We can't just disagree on a subject and then get over it. You got to hate the person. It's very concerning in our elected officials, our clergy, the business leaders need to unite to stop this as best they can, but at least they have to have the same voice. And it's almost like teaching people how to disagree and accept it and how to handle their feelings. You know, there's this buzzword out there, triggered. I feel triggered when somebody says this, or I feel triggered with the name Donald Trump. Okay, that's a coping mechanism that's bordering on mental illness. How do we as a society work on that? School systems, right? We've seen radical teachers teaching kids how to hate the American way of life. What's wrong with our way of life? Individual liberty, freedom, a true constitutional republic democracy. What does that mean? That we, the people, are in charge. That if the elected officials don't do what we want them to do, we don't vote for them again. Now, of course, I can hear you at home right now. Does that even matter anymore? Your emails to me show that you don't trust our elections anymore. And until we really wrap our minds around what happened in 2020, that sentiment won't end. I can tell you in Antrim, Michigan in 2020, they looked at some machines and there's this thing called fractional voting. Okay, if I vote for, say, Mickey Mouse, that's one vote. How can it be a fraction of a vote? So they did discover that that was going on. Whether people tampered with the machines or whether they are of superior quality, I don't know. All I know is I saw this incredible documentary called Kill Chain, and it was done 2015, 2016 timeframe with all the best IT experts coming out. And this one particular guru said, there's a lot of concerns at that time expressed about the American electronic voting machines. And I think probably throughout the country, maybe we use 5 different companies. I'm guessing. My state does not use electronic voting machines, so I'm not an expert in this area. I'm just remembering from the Kill Chain documentary. So he invited hackers to Las Vegas with all the American voting machines. 100% of them got hacked. They all can connect to the internet. Right there is a safety concern. When I was CEO of a hospital, I had an incredible, talented IT director, and he taught me a lot. Taught me about phishing and whaling and how to spot bad email addresses. And he taught the staff that. Because believe it or not, as a hospital, we were attacked all the time. People wanted the financial information and we were never breached. So I was always very proud of that. But he taught me when anything can hook up to the internet, all safety is gone. Best practice for me is voting on paper. And you can have a tabulator. I'm okay with the tabulator because if you suspect it, for whatever reason, it didn't tabulate correctly, maybe a couple of the pieces of paper stuck together and it only calculated one and not the other one, you can always go back to manually counting those paper ballots. I am a fan of that. I think you and I, when we belong to a country like America, we've already had such distrust in all of our institutions, the federal government, the judicial system. And we saw it in the blackest of ways under the Biden administration. At least can we get back our elections where we feel good about them? You have to admit a lot of really bad things happened in 2020. What was called the Zuckerberg boxes. Remember those? So these were boxes you could put your mail-in ballot in. There was supposed to be federal regulations because this was going to be for a presidential election. Cameras were supposed to be in there. I don't know the exact statistic, but they say probably half had functioning cameras. We definitely saw, it was very interesting, actually. I don't want it to happen again, but it's in a way interesting. I saw so much footage of people going with stacks of ballots. Now, this wasn't an individual thinking, I'm just going to stack it for my guy. These were paid people being paid to go to in the middle of the night to these boxes, and they had to take a picture. And somebody from the Justice Department told me this was similar to cartel activity. Usually the cartel, for their activity, they want proof. So they ask their mule or whoever, whatever business it is, to take a picture to confirm that they carried out what they were supposed to carry out. So it was quite interesting. Others, we didn't even see any footage because there wasn't working cameras. So that was one way of cheating. There was also mail-in ballots. We used to be very strict in our country that if you had an absentee ballot, because you needed to, you couldn't get to the voting arena or booth, wherever you go, you could apply for an absentee ballot, but it was very, very strict. Your signature had to match. You had to request it. Now with mail-in ballots, they were just being sent to people's houses. Report after report that people were getting 5, 10 ballots, or they were receiving ballots at their home for people who didn't live there. So there was a lot of cheating that way as well. So I have had some people investigating this. I talked to some of the investigators, and they said that's probably more than stuffing the ballot boxes were the cheating by mail-in ballots. And then, of course, there was what's called ballot harvesting. It's illegal in my state. I believe it should be illegal everywhere. That's when you can go and just go around. I can go around knocking on people's door. Oh, you can't get out? Let me just write your vote in. Here, you need to sign this. Well, Wisconsin did a great report that ballot harvesting was done in nursing homes where their citizens really didn't know the time of day, but yet their signature was on a vote for Biden. So we have a lot of work to do, but I think we need to speak up again. What we're very good at here in America is just moving forward. Something bad happens to us. So values and traits have a good side and a bad side. So it's really good that we can move on from tragedy, moved on from, our wars, 9/11. We just adjust. We have a lot of pain. We move forward. We live. But that happens when bad things happen, like cheating or lying to us, like Dr. Fauci did, like the CDC did, and there's never any accountability. How are we ever going to improve as a nation? Don't we want to be elevated? Don't we dream about a better society? Well, part of us in America, it's law and order, and accountability needs to be there. Do I have a vendetta against people who lied to you about the pandemic? I don't have a vendetta. But as a provider to a patient, you deserved better. You deserve to be told the truth about the origins of the pandemic. You deserve to be told the truth about the mRNA injections. I am telling you, my hand on a Bible, healthcare knew that mRNA injection did not stop the spread of COVID-19. But we had the CDC director, we had Fauci, we had other physicians who just weren't knowledgeable. Or were they being paid by Pfizer and Moderna, telling you, if you don't take this injection, you're going to kill your grandma. You're going to spread it all over your neighborhood. It's you. This is now, remember this, they said, this is now the pandemic of the unvaccinated. Bull crap, who's the winner now? The people who didn't take that injection, right? That was supposed to stay in your deltoid. So how most vaccines work, it's introduced, your body sees that it's foreign, it makes antibodies against it. So if you were ever exposed to whatever, measles, COVID-19, your antibodies are there and will fight it. That didn't work with the mRNA injection. That spike protein was found in heart muscle on autopsy, lungs, brain. We don't even know the cancers because things are still being covered up. I've been talking to some oncologists and they are seeing crazy, crazy cancers in children. Things that we didn't see in children in the past. Pancreatic cancer? That's a death sentence. My mom died within 3 months of a diagnosis. Children are getting pancreatic cancer. Children are getting colon cancer. No more cover-ups. All right. In a Christian view, we forgive you for lying, but stop it. We need to protect these people. And never again should we give immunity to any drug company. We saw how both Pfizer and Moderna, I think Pfizer more than Moderna, covered up information to the American people, to medical personnel. That's my last bit on that on this show today. But when I start, it's a passion, right? Because I believe you should have what's called informed consent. What is informed consent? It's sitting down with a patient saying, okay, this and that is going on. Here are some treatments I'd like to do with you, but here's the pros to it and here's the cons. We're supposed to give patients the information to decide. Those of you out there in my audience, if you got an injection, were you told the side effects? Were you told about myocarditis, heart attacks, death, of course, neurological issues? Even Eric Clapton is now coming out talking about how he suffered neurological damage from his injection. No more cover up. Demand it. Keep calling your congresspeople, your senators, not just at the federal level, at the state level. You have to demand it. We can do this together, and we can make a healthier nation. A lot of us have a lot of hope in Robert Kennedy. But it's a big job that he has. And I know he's focused on certain things about food dyes and chemicals in our food, but we have to, with research-based information, not fake research. Anybody can put their name on research. One of the things I learned in my master's statistics classes, you can manipulate statistics as well. So it's with a hairy eyeball that I review research. So I'm talking about true, pure research. We got to do it, and we got to inform the American public. Well, I'm going to take a short break. Stay with me, and I'll be right back.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Welcome back to the Dr. Maria Show. Well, you had to live under a rock if you weren't aware that the United States aligned with Israel in bombing 3 nuclear sites. But Iran, instead of saying, "Uncle, let's now go to the negotiation table, let's have some long-lasting peace," there is a ceasefire, which I'm very, very happy about, between Israel and Iran, but let's have lasting peace. No, the rhetoric is still coming from Ayatollah Khomeini and other people, including the Iranian ambassador. Just watch this clip on how they accuse the United States of betraying diplomacy.
Thank you very much, Minister. So you say that you need to respond right now, but we know that Iranians are known for their talents in negotiations in diplomacy and trade. What would be the conditions after responding for Iran to come back to a negotiation table, maybe with the US as well? And Turkey has been offering that Ankara can mediate for a trilateral between Turkey, US, and Iran. What would be your response to that? Because right now the US is technically involved in this conflict. Thank you.
Well, I think it is irrelevant to ask Iran to return to diplomacy, because we were in the middle of diplomacy. We were in the middle of talks with the United States when Israelis blew it up. And again, we were in the middle of talks and negotiation with Europeans, happened only 2 days ago in Geneva, when this time Americans decided to blow it up. So we were in diplomacy, but we were attacked militarily. So it was not Iran, but the US who betrayed diplomacy. They betrayed negotiations. When at the middle of negotiations with us, they gave green light to Israelis, if not instructed them to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. I think they have proved that they are not men of diplomacy, and they only understand the language of threat and force. And this is very unfortunate. The United States showed that they have no respect to United Nations Charter. They have no respect to international law. They have no respect to any international law regarding, managing the world and facing challenges of the world. There is no red line that they have not crossed. And the last one, and the most dangerous one, was happened only last night, when they crossed a very big red line by attacking nuclear facilities. I don't know how much room is left for diplomacy. We are now calculating the damages. And as I said, the damages are not only for our nuclear facilities, the damages are for the United Nations Charter. It was not only Iran's facilities which was bombed, it was also the United Nations Charter. It was also non-proliferation regime and NPT, which was bombed last night by Americans. And it was the rule of law and international law which was bombed. So now we have to see how much room is left for diplomacy, and we will decide.
As you could hear, this is a little dated. This was initial response, but it continued. And this is what you call spin. The United States has been trying to work for decades. I don't know a president that hasn't talked about Iran since 1979, we should not let them go forward with a nuclear program. The Clintons talked about it. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, when she was running for president, said, if I become president, I have no problems bombing Iran. Now, I am not a big proponent of just bombing another country, But President Trump and his delegates tried diplomacy. He was very, very patient. He tried his whole first term. The second term, there was too much information how close they were. And you can see how radicalized they are. Not just the chants, kill Americans, kill Israel, it's their actions. People say, well, I kind of get a little upset because even conservative TV says, oh, they chant death to America. That doesn't hurt me. What hurts me is they killed over 200 Marines in Beirut, Lebanon. In 2023, they bombed many of our military at sea, at the military bases in Syria. Their actions show that they will not stop. October 7th. It wasn't that long ago. What they did to the Israeli people, and Americans were kidnapped as well. They're still hostages. Hezbollah ruined Lebanon, that used to be thought of as the Riviera of the Middle East. So it's they who didn't have diplomacy, but this guy's good at spin, right? And he's got some people at the UN kind of coming along with that bad America. I thought President Trump showed extreme restraint through this whole ordeal in his second term. But as part of Operation Midnight, he wanted to be strategic. He did not want to get casualties like I believe Israel doesn't go after the civilian population like we've seen Iran do. And for my own benefit, and probably yours too, we got a reaffirmation how good our military is. I talked to many, many people and reported it about our Navy being inferior to China's Navy now. And I met a DOD contractor who told me that the submarines are old, out of date. So it's really, really nice to see how well our Air Force did. And I have a great video for you to watch. Here you go.
The video I'm about to show you is a culmination of over 15 years of development and testing. As I said, hundreds of test shots on various models. This is one weapon. So if you take a view of this as 5 additionals, you'll get a sense of what this looks like. Hopefully you can see it and there's not too much reflection. Tom runs our videos out there. We'll run it at full speed so you can see it. Go ahead, Tom. Keep it going for a minute. You'll see inside the mission space. Unlike the normal surface bomb, you won't see an impact failure because they're designed to deeply bury and then function. All 6 weapons at each vent at Fordo went exactly where they were intended to go. A bomb has 3 effects that causes damage: blast, fragmentation, and overpressure.
It's hard to convince anybody that massive destruction did not occur. I'd love to see more satellite image of Natanz and Isfahan. The IDF initially said that those two sustained about 75% damage. I'd like to see some satellite videos of that. I've been trying to get intel, on the ground intel. I am aware of many dissident groups, Iranians, who no longer live in Iran, but have a network of spies, if you will. You can't find a better word, that do provide information to people outside of Iran. It is going to be hard for anyone that doesn't believe the Revolutionary Guard or the evil Iranian regime to get close to those facilities, because they are holding that close to their chest, the damage. The Ayatollah Khomeini, who's a crazy nut who's in hiding, said that not a lot of damage. Come on, we know that's not true. Did it damage it enough to put back their nuclear proliferation in those places? I believe so. Did we wipe out everything altogether? Probably not, especially at the other two sites. And there's many more nuclear sites. But the intel was telling us, and Israel, that these three places, especially Fordo being so deep, had to go first, had to go. And aren't those bombs incredible? So when they come out, they are horizontal. And then as they get close to their target, which was a vents, they move to go right down into those vents. I'm impressed. Hats off to those pilots. They did an incredible job for their safety. They never landed anywhere. They were refueled mid-air. And so I feel better as an American. I want President Trump and our legislature to start working on what he is calling a golden dome for America in multiple places. We've seen how successful the Iron Dome was for Israel. Can you imagine if Ronald Reagan never pushed that? Israel would be no more. Sometimes it seems like nightly we watch the Iron Dome deflect and take out those incoming missiles. It's a scary time, but I feel like America's back. We are showing strength. We don't want to get into any war. That's the last thing we want to do, but we're not going to be messed with. We're not going to be under threat, where our people are always under a threat of a nuclear attack, especially by Iran and its proxies, and Israel, our only ally in the Middle East. Although President Trump wants to expand the Abraham Accords and have more friends in the Middle East. It's just, can we trust them? He's hoping Qatar, however you want to say it, will be one of those allies. But we also know they housed and hid Hamas leaders. I thank you for joining me. Don't forget, Wednesday as well, LindellTV.com at 9 p.m. Thank you. Have a good week.